Assalamu alaikum dear students, I am your English teacher Noor Muhammad and this is our second lecture on word classes. During our first lecture, I briefly introduced to you word classes and secondly, I discussed with you the first major word class, noun, in detail. Now is the time to move towards the second major word class, which is pronoun. We are going to discuss pronoun in detail now. Right in the beginning, I am going to give you a simple definition of pronoun. Let's begin. Pronoun is a word that is used instead of a noun or a noun phrase. Pronoun is a word that is used instead of a noun or noun phrase. Does it sound familiar to you? Absolutely. It's a very familiar definition of pronoun. It's a very common definition of pronoun. Everybody knows it. So I'm not going to talk about this definition any further. But there is one important point that I want to draw your attention to. And that is that a pronoun has a relationship, a very strong relationship with a noun. Because a pronoun replaces a noun. So remember one thing. It's a grammatical principle that the like replaces the like. We talk about the homeopathic principle, homeopathy as a branch of medicine. We talk about that the like cures the like. In the same way, there is a grammatical principle, and this grammatical principle is the like replaces the like. What does it mean? It means that a word having the same properties, the same functions, and the same characteristics can replace another word of the same characteristics, the same qualities, and the same functions. An adjective replaces an adjective. A verb replaces a verb. A preposition replaces a preposition. An adverb replaces an adverb. A noun replaces a noun. A subject replaces a subject. An object replaces an object. A complement replaces a complement. This is a grammatical principle. Remember, the grammatical principle is the like replaces the like. एक जैसी चीज को की जगह इस्तेमाल हो सकती है. This is something that you must remember. And if when we say a pronoun is a word which is used instead of, in place of a noun. So it means that a pronoun has the same characteristics, a pronoun has the same functions, a pronoun has the same properties as a noun has. This is something that you keep in mind, and this is exactly the case. A noun refers to a person, to a place, to a thing. So a pronoun is also expected to refer to a person, to a place, to a thing. That is our starting point today. You need to keep that in mind, that a pronoun is actually a facet, a version of a noun. The question is, if the pronoun performs the same functions, it has the same properties and same characteristics as a noun has, then why do we use a pronoun in place of, instead of a noun? That's an interesting question. We are going to discuss that at the end of our lecture. So this is our beginning. Let me talk about the word pronoun, the etymology of the word pronoun. The word pronoun actually is derived from Latin language. Pro means for, pro means in place of, and nomen is a word, pronomen is a word used in Latin language. Nomen means name, noun. So in place of a noun. That's the literal translation of this Latin word. So the name also shows the same thing. Pronoun means in place of a noun, in place of a person, in place of a thing, in place of a place. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. So this was our beginning. Next thing illustration, exemplification, clarification. Kids, it's very easy to talk about this definition. A pronoun is a word which is used instead of a noun. But let me tell you one thing. You need to understand the process of replacement. You need to understand how a pronoun replaces a noun, how a word is used instead of a noun, and then it qualifies for the grammatical status of a pronoun. What is the process of this replacement? What is the process of this word taking the place of a noun? If you can somehow understand the real process of a word replacing a noun and thus becoming a pronoun, then I hope you will be able to have a firm grip upon the concept of a pronoun. So let me illustrate it. The first example is an ordinary one. You come across it in daily life. Ali is my brother. Ali lives in Karachi. Ali is an engineer. There are 3 sentences, simple clauses. Ali is my brother. Ali lives in Karachi. Ali is an engineer. What's unusual about these 3 examples, these 3 sentences? It's the repetition of Ali, Ali, Ali in 3 sentences. In normal circumstances, according to the standard use of language, repetition of a noun or noun phrase is avoided. Once a noun has been used, then it is not repeated over and over again. We avoid it and then replace a noun or a noun phrase with a pronoun. So that's why when we say Ali is my brother, Ali lives in Karachi, you know that we don't use Ali again. Instead, we use the word he. So see, he has replaced Ali. Ali is a noun. So a word that replaces a noun is called as a pronoun. So by this definition, he will be called a pronoun. The reason is that it has replaced a noun, Ali. Same is the case over here. Ali is my brother. Ali lives in Karachi. Ali is an engineer. We don't use Ali again. We avoid repetition of nouns and noun phrases. So instead, we will use again he over here. And in this way, we can say that he is a word which has replaced Ali. And Ali is a noun. So a word that replaces a noun is called as a pronoun. So by this definition, he is actually, by this principle, on the basis of this principle, so on the basis of this function that he performs, it replaces a noun, he will be called as a pronoun. So it's a simple, process of replacement. So this is how a pronoun actually replaces. Coming towards the second example, which is a little more unusual, not really unusual, but at least not as simple as is this one. So this is the second sentence. There were many students in the classroom, in the class. Some students were standing while most students were sitting. Now this is a noun phrase, a combination of 2 or more than 2 words referring to a person, place or thing, noun phrase. Some students is a noun phrase, so it's NP. This is also a noun phrase, and in this case, most student, this is also, a noun phrase. These 2 words refer to persons, so noun phrase. These 2 words, some students, refer to persons, so they are also noun phrase. Most students, both these words, most students, combined together refer to persons, so they are also nouns. So they are also noun phrase, so there is no doubt about that. But let me now begin the process of replacement. There were many students in the class. Some students were standing. What if I remove the noun students from here? And I simply say, instead of saying some students were standing, I say some were standing. It is perfect. It conveys the same meaning. Although we have omitted, we have kicked out the noun students, yet some alone conveys the same meaning. as it conveyed with the combination of students, some students. So some students and only some convey the same meaning. There is no change in meaning, remember. So instead of using some students, which is a noun phrase, we have used only some. So by this definition, it will be called as a pronoun. Why? Because some has been used instead of a noun phrase, instead of a noun students. So if students is noun, and if some has been used instead of some students, so this is something that makes it a pronoun. So this is a pronoun. Some students were standing, we only say some were standing. This is called the process of replacement. So we have kicked out students. Same is the case with while most students were sitting. So let's take it out. Let's kick it out. And instead of saying while most students were sitting, I say most were sitting. It's grammatically perfect. It conveys the same meaning. The only difference is we have not used most students. Instead, we have only used most. So students, which is a noun, has been replaced by some. So it's a pronoun. It has been replaced by most. So it is a pronoun. So this is also a pronoun and that is also a pronoun. So now let's read it again. There were many students in the class. Some were standing. Some means students. We have not used the word students. We have used some in place of students. So it's a pronoun. And while most were sitting, instead of saying while most students were sitting, we have only used most. So most has replaced most students, a noun phrase. So this is why we will call most as a pronoun. So this is how a pronoun replaces a noun. This is how different words can take place of nouns or noun phrases and thus qualify for the grammatical status of a pronoun. Next example, third. There are 3 pens here. There are 3 pens here. Which pen do you like the most? Now kids, which pen is actually a noun phrase because it's a combination of 2 or more than 2 words referring to a person, place or thing. Pen is a thing. Which pen is a noun phrase? Now what if I remove it? What about this one? Is it still correct? There are 3 pens here. Which do you like the most? Perfectly fine. It's a grammatically perfect sentence and it conveys the same meaning. So see, which pen has been replaced by which? Which pen was a noun phrase and which has replaced which pen, so it means that it is basically a pronoun. Noun pen has been kicked out and only the word which has been used instead of a noun, so it will be called as a pronoun. So see kids, pronouns are not just I, we, he, she, it, you. They are not the only pronouns. No doubt they are the most popular, most frequently used pronouns, but these words, some, most, which, they can also replace nouns and noun phrases and therefore qualify for the grammatical status of pronouns and can be called as pronouns. This is the illustration, the practical demonstration of how words can actually replace nouns or pronouns and thus become, nouns or noun phrases and thus become pronouns. This is something that you need to keep in mind. This was a brief exemplification, clarification, illustration, demonstration of what exactly is a pronoun and how a pronoun replaces a noun or a noun phrase. This is something that you need to understand and I hope you have got it. Let's now talk about the different kinds of pronoun. Kinds of pronoun. The first one, personal pronouns. Well. Personal pronouns are the most popular, most frequently used pronouns. Who is not familiar with I, we, you, he, she, it, they? Everybody knows these pronouns and we use them frequently during our communication in daily life. So everybody is familiar with them. There is no need to introduce you to these pronouns when you are already familiar with them. So what we are going to discuss is different kinds, cases, the other aspects of personal pronouns. the question, the definition right in the beginning. Personal pronouns. What are personal pronouns? Personal pronoun refers to participants in a communicative situation or conversation. Remember kids, majority of the people, if you ask them what are personal pronouns, they would say personal pronouns are those pronouns that refer to persons. To be very honest, some refers to a person. Some is not a personal pronoun. In this case, most refers to a person, but it is not a personal pronoun. So it is not that a personal pronoun is called a personal pronoun because it refers to persons. That's not exactly the concept. The real concept is, the real definition and real, what I say, point is that a personal pronoun refers to participants or persons, you can use that, participants in a communicative situation or conversation. You know that language is used for communication. When I say communicative situation, when language is being used by participants. So on daily basis we hold conversations. On daily basis we communicate with each other, and there are conversations. And you know, when we are using language, when we are speaking a language, remember there are three participants involved in a conversation. Number one, the one who speaks, he is called as speaker. Number two, the one who listens to, he is called as a listener. Number three is the topic, the person, the place, or the thing which is being discussed. So there are three participants in a conversation or in a communicative situation, in a communicative setting. So what are they? The one who speaks, the one who listens, the one who is being talked about, the one who is being discussed, the topic. These are the three persons or participants involved in conversation, or these are the three participants in a communicative situation. These three persons, these three participants are called as three persons. And the pronouns which are used to refer to these three persons, they are called as personal pronouns. Let me give you some explanation further. First person, speaker. And the speaker always uses the pronoun I as a singular for himself or herself or for themselves, and we for plural. For example, I am holding a conversation and I am talking to someone, and I am the speaker, I am the initiator, okay, of the conversation. And I say, listen, I tell you, see, I have used two pronouns. I tell you that he is a nice guy. I have used three pronouns in a single sentence. Listen, imagine a conversation taking place. I tell you that he is a nice guy. I for the speaker, you for the listener, and he for the topic, the one who is being discussed. So I, because it is used for the speaker, and speaker is always the first person who initiates the conversation, so that's why I will be called as first person pronoun. And because the speaker uses you for the listener, and listener is always the second person, because the one who initiates the conversation is always the first person. And then the listener will be called as the second person because he is the second person involved in conversation. So what did I use? I tell you. I use you for the second person. So that's why you is called as a second person pronoun. And then I said, I tell you that he is a nice guy. So I used he for the one who is being discussed. I and he, you, are actually discussing. We two are discussing somebody else. So because I am the speaker, the first person, because he is the listener, the second person, and clearly the one who is being discussed, he may be present or he may not be present, is actually the third person, the topic. So that's why he will be called as a third person pronoun. And there are other kinds. Let's discuss them. So first person, speaker, I-V, singular for singular I, for plural V. Second person, listener. Listener is always second person. You. There is only one pronoun, you. In Urdu language, we have two pronouns, tum and aap. But in English language, there is only one second person pronoun. Third person. Who is the third person? The topic, the one who is being discussed. He, she, it, they. They are called as third person because you can say, I tell you that she is a nice girl. I tell you that he is a nice boy. I tell you that it is my book. I tell you that they are nice people. So you can discuss others with the help of he, a male singular with the help of she, a female singular with the help of they, female or male, plural. And then it's a non-human, an animate object, or even an animal, so you can use it for it. So that's why normally there is a greater variety in the topic. So this is exactly the reason why we call them as third persons. So now you must get the idea why we call I and we as first person. Why do we call you as a second person pronoun? Why do we say that he, she, it, they are third person pronouns? Why do we say? I've just explained it to you. Because sequence wise, the speaker, I, we, are the first persons, and the listener, you, is the second person, and the topic, he, she, it, they, are the third person. It is the sequence in conversation that determines the title, first person pronoun, the second person pronoun, and the third person pronoun. I hope you have got this idea. This was a brief discussion of the different types of personal pronouns. First person pronouns, second person pronouns, and third person pronouns. In Urdu language too, we have these personal pronouns, remember. Now the second important thing related to the personal pronouns is case, or I say cases of personal pronouns. What does it mean? I mean, like verbs. Verbs have forms. English verbs have 6 forms. Typically we call them as 4 forms. First form of the verb, second form of the verb, third form of the verb, and the fourth form of the verb. Like English verbs or verbs in all languages, personal pronouns also have different forms. They can also change from use to use, from function to function, from occasion to occasion, from example to example. So they can change, but we do not call them as the forms of personal pronouns. We call them as the cases of personal pronouns. And there are 3 major cases of personal pronouns. Let's discuss them. There is the first case, the first form of the personal pronoun, the first shape of the personal pronoun is called subjective case, or it is called as nominative case. What is a subjective case of personal pronoun? What is a nominative case of personal pronoun? Remember kids, I have given a formula over here. When a personal pronoun, I, we, you, he, she, it, they, when a personal pronoun is used before a verb, you are going to use a different shape, a different case, a different form, a different kind of a personal pronoun. Keep that in mind. For example, I have used the verb saw and invited. There are 2 verbs over here. So when you are going to use a personal pronoun before the verb, it will have a different case. It will have a different form. For example, I saw Ali. We saw Ali. You saw Ali. He saw Ali. She saw Ali. It saw Ali. They saw Ali. See, they are all correct. Why? Because they have been used before the noun, before the verb, and they have a different shape, they have a different case. If I say me saw Ali, incorrect. If you say him saw Ali, incorrect. If you say them saw or there saw Ali, incorrect. So see, only these cases of the personal pronouns can be used before the verb. That's why all of them will be called as subjective or nominative case. Subjective also means the pronoun which is used, personal pronoun which is used as a subject. But remember, the universal formula is when a personal pronoun is used before a verb, it is called as a nominative case or it is called as a subjective case of the personal pronoun. And the second one is called objective case of the personal pronoun or accusative case of the personal pronoun. And what is it? When a personal pronoun, I, you, we, he, she, it, they, when they are used after verb or after the preposition, then remember, in such cases, we will call these personal pronouns as objective cases. The objective case of the personal pronoun will be used after the verb, after the preposition. Before the verb, the case of the personal pronoun will be nominative or subjective. And after the preposition or after the verb, the case of the personal pronoun will be objective or accusative. So here are the examples. Now I have taken the verb before. Ali saw me, correct. Ali saw us, correct. Ali saw you, correct. Ali saw him, correct. Ali saw her, correct. Ali saw it, Ali saw them, correct. In the same way, Ali talked to, it's a preposition. Ali talked to me, to us, to you, to him, to her, to it, absolutely correct. We cannot say he invited, Ali invited I, wrong. Ali invited my, wrong. So Ali invited our, wrong. Ali invited we, wrong. So that's why if a personal pronoun is used after the verb or after the preposition, it is called as an objective or it is called as an accusative case of the personal pronoun. Keep that in mind. The case of the personal pronoun used before the verb is called as nominative or subjective case, and the case of the personal pronoun used after the verb or after the preposition is called as accusative or called as subjective case. And these are the differences, remember. And when is the possessive? The third case of the personal pronoun is possessive or genitive. What is it? The one which is used before a noun or a noun phrase and it shows possession. And it shows possession, milkiyat. That's exactly. If a pronoun is used before a noun or a pronoun and it shows possession, this pronoun will be, personal pronoun will be called as possessive or genitive case of the personal pronoun. This is something that you need to keep in mind. For example, there is a noun and there is a noun phrase. Their house. You cannot say them house, wrong. You cannot say their house. You cannot say she house. You cannot say he house, his house, their house, your house, our house, my house. And in this case, my new car, our new car, your new car, all of them can be easily used before nouns and noun phrases and they show possession. So all these cases of the personal pronouns will be called as possessive possessive cases. That's exactly the concept of the possessive case of the personal pronoun. This is something I hope you have understood. So kids, I hope you have got it, that there are three cases or three forms or three shapes of personal pronoun. Number one, subjective or nominative case. Number two, objective or accusative case. Number three, genitive or possessive case. Keep that in mind. And I've just told you, before verb, nominative case is used. After verb and after preposition, accusative case is used. And before a noun or a pronoun to show possession, possessive or genitive case is used. I hope you've got the idea. Let's come towards now the second major kind of personal pronouns, and they are called as possessive pronouns. As the title shows, possessive, honor, owning, ownership. So it's a simple definition. Possessive pronouns show possession, ownership. That's it. They are used in such a way that they show possession, ownership of a noun or a pronoun or a noun phrase. They, in other words, a possessive pronoun is a pronoun that shows the possession, the ownership of a person, place or thing. And here is a simple formula. A personal pronoun, a possessive pronoun. A possessive pronoun is the one which can be applied in this way. Use a noun and then a pronoun and then a noun phrase. Then after that you can either use is or am or are. Use a noun or a pronoun or a noun phrase. Then is or am or are. And then after that use a possessive pronoun. It is always a possessive pronoun that will be used to show the possession of this noun, pronoun or noun phrase. For example, I can say this house, this is NP. This house, and then I'm going to use is, and then my, me, I, or mine. So I have used all the versions of I. This house is my, correct? No, it's incorrect. ये घर मेरा है, incorrect. This house is me, no. This is also incorrect. This house is I, no, this doesn't show possession. This is also incorrect. This house is mine, yes, this is correct. So this will be called as a possessive pronoun. In the same way, you can say this house is, for example, he, for example, his, for example, him. Which one of them is correct? This house is he, wrong. This house is his, correct. This house is his, ये घर उसका है, that's perfectly correct. This house is him, wrong. So this is incorrect, this is incorrect. So this is actually a possessive pronoun because it can be applied, it can be used in this way. So this is a simple formula for you that you can use to find out the possessive pronouns, remember. So in the same way, I can say this house is, for example, now use is you, is your, or is yours. So here it is. So this house is you, wrong. ये घर तुम्हारा है. This house is your, this is also wrong. If you consider it as correct, you are mistaken. And this house is yours, this is perfect. So in this way, we can easily find out possessive pronouns by applying this formula. Mine is a possessive pronoun, his is a possessive pronoun, and yours is a possessive pronoun. Your is not a possessive pronoun, it's a possessive determiner. And my is not actually a possessive pronoun, it's a possessive determiner, and the rest of them too. So here are, the examples of the personal pronoun. First person, possessive pronouns, mine and ours. Second person, possessive pronoun, yours. The third person, possessive pronoun, his, hers, theirs, its. You can see that there is a pattern that all of them largely follow, not in all cases. Ours, yours, his, hers, theirs, its. Normally they take inflection of S at the end. This is a simple way of identifying it. But there are examples like mine or like only mine. There is only one example, mine, which is a possessive pronoun, but it doesn't take an s or es at the end. This is a simple formula on the basis of which you can distinguish between a personal pronoun and a personal determiner, or a personal or a personal pronoun. So this is something you must understand, remember. So personal pronoun is a different thing, personal determiner is a different thing, possessive determiner is a different thing, and possessive pronoun is a different thing. That's the formula to apply, and if you get the result, that will be called as a possessive pronoun. This was the second example, the second kind of pronouns. First one, personal pronouns. Second one, possessive pronouns. Now we are going to discuss interrogative pronouns. What are interrogative pronouns? The title shows interrogative, related to interrogation, question. An interrogative pronoun is a one which asks, interrogative pronouns ask a question about the identity of a person, place or thing. They ask a question about the identity of person, place or thing. What is it? What is a personal, is an interrogative pronoun. Which is an interrogative pronoun. Who is an interrogative pronoun, because all of them can be used in such a way that they function as a pronoun, and at the same time they ask question about a person, place or thing. This is something that, for example, who stole my pen? Who wrote this book? So who basically refers to a person, and who is interrogative one because it asks a question. Which is mine? There are three books on the table. Which is mine? So which basically means a book. Book is a thing, and a word which is used instead of a thing is called as a pronoun. So it's because an interrogative pronoun. And in the same way, we can also say what. What do you like? What means dish or fruit. There are so many fruit here. There are so many dishes here. What do you like? So what means a dish? Dish is a noun. What means a fruit? Fruit is a noun. So a word which has been used instead of a noun is what. So what basically is a pronoun. But because it asks a question too at the same time, so that's why it's called as an interrogative pronoun. So there are, generally speaking, three interrogative pronouns: what, which, and who. Now let's discuss the fourth kind of pronoun, and it is reflexive pronoun. Now the question is, what is a reflexive pronoun? A pronoun which refers back to the subject. A pronoun which refers back to the subject is called as reflexive pronoun. Here is a simple example to clarify the point. I cooked it myself. Now I is actually a subject, and this one actually refers back to the subject, so that's why it will be called as reflexive pronoun. And as you have seen it here, so as far as the form is concerned, typically different cases of personal pronoun are added up with self or selves. In other words, self or selves is used at the end of different cases of personal pronouns to form or to make reflexive pronouns. So this is how. Examples are myself, ourself, yourself, himself, herself, itself, themselves. All of them are actually the different kinds, different examples of reflexive pronoun. They are, see, all of them have self or selves at the end, and all of them have different cases of personal pronouns before them: my, our, your, him, her, it, and them. So there are different cases of personal pronouns, and they are combined with self or selves at the end. This is how it is called as a reflexive pronoun. What are the functions of reflexive pronoun? An extra point: mirroring. What does it mean? You know that what is a mirror. And reflection. You know, reflection means aks, mirror means aina. When you look in the mirror, for example, if you're standing straight in front of a mirror and you see your own image in the mirror, and you can say, I see myself in the mirror, or you can say I am looking at myself in the mirror. So it means that myself is the mirror image, is the reflection of the subject I. That's why these personal pronouns are called as reflexive, because they are mirror images. They are actually reflections of the subject. That's why they are called as reflexive pronouns. So in the same way, you can say we are looking at ourselves in the mirror. He is looking at himself in the mirror. She is looking at herself in the mirror. So basically the function of a reflexive pronoun is mirroring or reflection. That's it, nothing more than that. And the second one is emphasis. Sometimes it is also used for emphasis. For example, I myself did it. In such case, myself, the reflexive pronoun, is used immediately after the subject rather than having a gap. So typically when a reflexive pronoun refers to the subject, it is normally used after the verb. Like the example is here, I cooked it myself. This is the verb and it is used at the end, and then it refers to, it's a simple mirroring or reflection use. On the other hand, when it is used for emphasis, typically it is used immediately after the noun, pronoun or noun phrase on which it emphasizes, upon which it stresses. This is something that you need to keep in mind. So I myself did it, and he himself did it sometime. So this is the use of this is the function, emphasis. So these are reflexive pronouns. These are the examples of reflexive pronoun, the list of the reflexive pronoun, and these two are the functions. Let's talk about relative pronoun. What is a relative pronoun? A pronoun that is related to and refers to a noun or a noun phrase before it. So basically a relative pronoun always comes after the noun or pronoun towards which it refers. For example, we can say noun or noun phrase plus a relative pronoun, and this is exactly the case. So a relative pronoun always comes immediately after the noun or pronoun towards which it refers, to whom it refers. That is something that you need to keep in mind. A pronoun that is related to and refers to a noun or pronoun just before it. Examples are that, who, which. For example, there are examples over there, and their function is restriction and limiting. What is the function? I mean, they restrict the use of the noun. They tell us that this noun phrase, not anyone else, restricting it, that's called as the function of the what we call as relative pronoun. These examples will clarify the point. She is the girl who topped the class. Now you have got who, which is a pronoun, and it refers to the girl, which is a noun phrase. And see, there is no gap between the two. Who refers to the noun or pronoun, the noun or noun phrase that has been used before it. This will be called as, this who will be called as a relative pronoun. In this example, the boy that helped you is my cousin. That refers to boy, the noun phrase. So it is related to the noun phrase used just before it. So that's why this will be called as a relative pronoun. This is the book which I bought yesterday, which refers to the book which has been used just before it. So which is a noun phrase. So because which refers to a noun phrase just before it and it is related to it, this is called as a relative pronoun. So their relationship is quite obvious. They are connected so closely with the nouns that they refer to. In this case too. So the noun is used immediately before the pronoun. So their relationship is very strong. That's why they are called as relative pronouns. And there is a tip to identify a relative pronoun. And a relative pronoun is the one which is translated with the Urdu alphabet Jim or Urdu sound Ja. In all these three cases, who, that or which, will be translated with जीम, जो, जिसे, जिसने, etc. So a relative pronoun is always translated in Urdu with the help of jeem in the beginning. So keep that in mind. So this was a relative pronoun, a pronoun which is used immediately after the noun or pronoun towards which it refers. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. Next one, sixth one is demonstrative pronoun. I'm deliberately hurrying through my lecture because it's been long. Demonstrative pronoun. What is a demonstrative pronoun? The pronoun that points to or emphasizes. The pronoun that points to or emphasizes is called as demonstrative pronoun. That points to this book, that book, these chairs, those people. So you are pointing out, pointing to, or you are emphasizing these. So this, that, these, those, all of them are used for pointing to in these examples. So all of them will be called as demonstrative pronouns. And examples are here, remember. So this is my pen. This is my pen. So you are pointing to the pen. That is my book. So you are pointing. So this is how a demonstrative pronoun is used. So this, that, these, those are or can be used as demonstrative pronouns if they point to or they emphasize. So this is a demonstrative pronoun. Let's come towards the distributive pronoun. What is a distributive pronoun? As the definition is given, a pronoun that refers to one thing, one place, or one person at a time. A distributive pronoun always refers to one thing, one person, or one place. So that's called as distributive pronoun. For example, each, either, neither. Each is always used for one. Each is invited. You are three people sitting here. Each of you is invited, or each is invited. So each means everyone, refers to all, remember. So one. You will pay 100 rupees each. So each basically shows one thing, person, place at a time. So the pronoun that refers to one thing, one place, one person at a time is called as a distributive pronoun. Either, neither. There are two books on the table. I like neither. Neither here is a pronoun, and it is referring to every one of them, one at a time. There are, and I can use it different way. There are two books on the table. You can pick either. So either, neither, each, they are all distributive pronouns because they refer to one thing at a time or one person at a time. Next one, eighth one is indefinite pronoun. What is an indefinite pronoun? A pronoun that refers to no particular person, place, or thing. No one in particular. You cannot say this, you cannot say that. No particular person, place, or thing. That's called a pronoun that refers to no particular person, no particular place, no particular thing is called as indefinite pronoun. For example, everyone. Everyone means everyone, not a particular person, not a particular thing. Everything, anyone, anything, someone, something, all of them are actually indefinite pronouns because you do not have a definite reference to anyone. So they do not refer to one particular person or place or thing. They refer any. So that's why, remember, you will call them as indefinite pronouns. So these are the examples of indefinite pronouns. And then the last but not the least is reciprocal pronoun. What is a reciprocal pronoun? A pronoun that shows mutual relationship, two-way relationship. And there are normally two words, and both of them are called as pronouns. One, each, other. Each is a pronoun, other is also a pronoun. But because they are interconnected, so that's why this will be called as a reciprocal pronoun and this will also be called as a reciprocal pronoun. One another. One is a pronoun. Another is a pronoun, but just because they are mutually connected, they are related to each other, that's why one is a reciprocal pronoun and another is a reciprocal pronoun. You need to keep that in mind. So this was, kids, our detailed discussion of pronouns in English. There are two things. One is the critical question that I will discuss, that I will ask you at the end, and the other one is an important point related to personal pronouns. So related to pronouns in general. Remember, kids, majority of the pronouns that we have discussed, they can be used as dependents before nouns. I repeat, you must remember one point. It will help you to identify a pronoun and differentiate it from other word classes, especially determiner. The point is, remember, a pronoun is always standalone. What does it mean? A pronoun is not used as a dependent to or of another noun. For example, if you use, here is an example, for example, you talk about this. This is, I say, a demonstrative pronoun in this example. And that is a demonstrative pronoun in this example. But look at this, and look at this, that. There is no noun after this. There is only a verb. There is no noun after that it is dependent of. There is no noun after it that this is dependent of. Only then a pronoun is called as a pronoun if it is not a dependent of a noun that comes after it. If you use, this book is mine. This book is mine. In this example too, you have used this. This book is mine. In this example, this is not a pronoun. Why? Because it has a noun after it, book. And it is related to book, this book. It is a dependent of book. So if a pronoun is used in such a way that it is a dependent of the noun that comes after it, it will never be called as a pronoun. If a word is used in such a way that it looks like a pronoun, but if it is a dependent of a noun that comes after it, in such cases, it will never be called as a pronoun. A pronoun always stands alone because it replaces a noun. Noun can stand alone. You must remember it. That is a pronoun. But because it is not a dependent of any noun that comes after it. But if I say, I like that book. Now in this case, that is a dependent of book. I like that chair. I like that laptop. I like that computer. So you are using that computer, that laptop, that boy. In all these three examples, that is a dependent of boy, computer, chair, laptop. So they are all nouns. In these examples, that is not actually a pronoun. What is it? It's a determiner. We will discuss it later on. But remember, when you are using, or when in any sentence, a pronoun looking word is used as a dependent before another noun, it will not be a pronoun. Keep that in mind. These examples are there too. For example, I can use each student should come forward. Each student will pay rupees 5,000. Now you are using each before a student, and each has now become a dependent of student. Each student. In this case, each is not a pronoun. It must stand alone. It must stand alone. For example, I can use each as a pronoun. For example, there are two books on the table. I like each. Each is used alone. In such cases, each, this, that, or the other pronoun looking words, they will be called as pronouns. If they stand alone, they are not dependents of the nouns after them. I hope you have got my point. At the end, I have a question for you to think about. The question is, in the definition, we talked about a pronoun's ability to replace a noun or a noun phrase. A pronoun is a word which is used in place of, which is used instead of a noun. The question is, if a noun can convey the same meaning which the pronoun conveys, why do we need to use a pronoun? Why do we ever need to replace a noun or a noun phrase with a pronoun when the noun or noun phrase effectively can convey the same meaning? Why pronouns are used in place of, instead of nouns or noun phrases, when nouns or noun phrases themselves can convey the meaning effectively? Think about it. And if your answer is to avoid repetition, I'm afraid you are not telling the whole truth. Yes, no doubt about that. Pronouns are used to avoid the repetition of nouns. As in the first example I said, Ali is my brother, Ali lives in Karachi, Ali is an engineer. We want to avoid the repetition of noun Ali over and over again, therefore we use he. Ali is my brother, he lives in Karachi, he is an engineer. So we avoid the repetition of Ali, which is a noun, and use he. But the question is, what about the repetition of pronouns? We keep using pronouns for dozens of times, for scores of times. There is something wrong with the repetition of nouns or noun phrases, but there is nothing wrong with the repetition of pronouns. We keep on saying, he lives there, he does this, he is there, he comes here, he wants that, he needs that, he sleeps well, he eats well. We keep saying he. So repetition of nouns and noun phrases are avoided, but the repetition of pronouns are welcome. They are not avoided. Why? Just think about it. The question is, I repeat the critical question. Why do we ever need to use a pronoun in place of a noun or noun phrase when the nouns or noun phrases can themselves convey the same meaning? And if your answer is to avoid repetition of the noun, then you are mistaken. Because the pronouns which replace the nouns and noun phrases, they are also repeated over and over and over again. We never want to avoid the repetition of pronouns, but we want to avoid the repetition of nouns and noun phrases. Why? Think about it. I hope you've understood the whole lecture. If there are any questions, any queries, you can contact me. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum.